Now, it's no secret that my upload schedule is utterly chaotic due to work, my friends not being available, and my hobby of writing. Well, I am here to tell you that that problem is still not solved. However, I was really surprised to see the big boom in views with my VR content and subscriber count within the past 2 years. That by itself is great progress, and for that, I can't thank you enough for all the support. I still plan to make content with the gang, depending on the availability of course. So, during this time, I decided to take this effort to put in a different spin on what I usually do. So during my time of doom scrolling on YouTube, I came across essays that revolve around zombies. Most of them were created by small channels, and I said to myself, yeah, I could do that. As I said unknowingly, thinking that editing was gonna be easy. And then, lo and behold, something happened.
Welcome to the party.
After the release of the final DLC map of Black Ops 6 Zombies, The Reckoning had big shoes to fill, and honestly, it shouldn't have been that hard. Treyarch already stumbled after Revelations in Black Ops 3, where our crew's hard work was revealed to be nothing more than a part of an inescapable cycle. Then came Tiger Toten in Black Ops 4. That ending subverted everyone's expectations by killing off Primus and Ultimus. But as the new Dark Aether story unfolded, it became clear that while it had its ups and downs, the overall quality was lukewarm at best. Then came the ending of The Reckoning, and honestly, I was baffled at how inept it was. These new versions of Takeo, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Richtofen appeared out of nowhere, introduced themselves as if it were some Marvel post-credit scene, pivoting them into the hype of Black Ops 7 to the fans. And the wildest part? People were still excited about this. For some fucking reason.
Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Did Craig Houston really write this? I know he and his team worked with the limited resources they had back in Black Ops 4, but this feels like scraping the bottom of the barrel. How could Treyarch fumble something this badly? They set up massive events within the game itself, only to use them as a glorified teaser for the next title. That is not how you tell a story. I've known this because I've been practicing screenwriting for the past 5 years. After playing through the map, which I found subpar compared to every other finale that came before it, I can finally stand up to say that the Dark Aether storyline isn't going where it should, and something needs to push it back onto its tracks. And to understand what went wrong with the entirety of the Dark Aether story, we have to start from the beginning. The end of the Aether.
It is said that it is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. I feel differently. Regret can consume a man so deeply that it will blacken his heart and swallow his soul. For so long we have been fighting. Many battles, many wars. I lost only one. We have seen impossible things, cheated death countless times. I can no longer deny the possibility of an unseen power, a guiding hand, helping us to fulfill our destiny. My path is chosen, our fate is sealed. But the innocent, the children, those untainted by darkness and chaos, they can find a better tomorrow.
Our characters, Ultimus and Primus, sit together one last time, sharing drinks, laughing at each other's stories. For a brief moment, it feels like peace. But this isn't the conclusion of Black Ops 4. It's the conclusion of the entire Aether storyline. The book, was about to close. Primus Nikolai, holding the Chronorium, prepares to do what Richtofen was afraid to. He will stop the chaos and end the cycle, at any cost. He poisons their drinks. As they all slept, they slip away. One by one. All but Samantha, Eddie, Nikolai himself, and Ultimus Richtofen, who rises once more as a zombie with one last purpose: to guide Victus. Victus awakens in a cryogenic sleep beneath Alcatraz. They were told that their next destination was a frozen Siberian facility, one that we all know too well: Call of the Dead. Their task was to forge the Agarthan device, a machine capable of granting its wielder whatever they desire, like a genie in a bottle. Along the way, they uncover fragments of zombies' history, paying respects to George Romero, the godfather of zombies, learning that Shangri-La was connected to Mars, and uncovering the lore of the creation of the Pack-a-Punch, how the western town ended up buried in Africa, and the origins of the witches who haunt it. After Pablo helps Victus, they finally complete the device and deliver it to Nikolai, who enacts his plan to secure a better tomorrow. The Summoning Key. The first artifact in all of creation shatters into fragments. The multiverse is no more. The Keepers, the MPD, Element 115, everything is sent to the place below creation, the Dark Aether. As for Samantha and Eddie, their fate is different. They're going to be sent to the new world, one untouched by the undead, free from all the influence of either the Keepers and the Apothecons. A world where they can live normal lives, where they can grow up without the fear of the undead, and finally have the chance to be happy and live prosper. Now, a lot of people were expecting a Great War, an epic final battle, the last stand where Primus and Ultimus would fight together against the two factions in the one climactic showdown. Instead, Treyarch subverted expectations with this ending, and it left many in the community confused, disappointed, even angry. But for me, it didn't hit as hard as much as the others did. In fact, I liked it. Okay, now I know some of you aren't satisfied with this ending, even 6 years later, but hear me out. Lower your torches and your pitchforks for a second. Let's break this down. Nikolai read the Chronorium that Revelations Richtofen had passed down to, and after seeing what truly lied ahead, he understood that everyone was going to die in that forest, one way or another. So, he had to craft a believable story, but not just for Primus and Ultimus, but for us as the players as well. Think about it. We'd already seen some insane, over-the-top shit during Black Ops 3. Remember when we were dropped into Gorod Krovi, a map with cyborg zombies, giant mechs, and dragons all tearing each other apart in a war-torn Stalingrad while playing Ace of Spades in the background? That's the kind of badass chaos that you would see in an album cover, not your standard zombies map. So of course it would make sense at the time that we would expect something equally as climactic as Revelations, even if the boss fight was piss poor. Now, if the Great War actually released the way it was supposed to, it wouldn't have mattered. Everyone at the time was already complaining about the state of Black Ops 4. The HUD, the perk system, the point system, blaze phase, zombie spawn rates, specialists, wraith fires, blaze phase, game crashes, Easter egg difficulty. With all of that, people still would have complained. Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong. And gameplay aside, the Great War itself wouldn't mean anything. Sure, the Apothecons might have lost the battle, but they've already won the war. They would still build the MPD on the moon, they would still scatter Element 115 across the multiple dimensions, humans would still experiment on it, Richtofen sure as hell would still do what he always do best, and the Shadow Man will always escape from the summoning key and seize Agartha. And you see where I'm trying to go with this? I know a lot of people saw the ending as cruel, even an assassination of Nikolai's character, especially when he forced Samantha to pull a trigger on him. Like, seriously, what the hell was that about? But aside from that moment, it was one of those things that it had to happen. Nikolai said it himself.
Monty told us the truth. Our journey is the very reason this madness exists.
Now, even though Monty barely played a major role in Black Ops 4, I think Treyarch originally planned for him to have a much larger role in the finale. Nikolai's line feels like it was left over from an earlier draft of the script before Treyarch realized that they couldn't get Monty's actor back. But here's the thing to remember, Monty's interests were always aligned with Primus's goal.
I am no fool. What I do only to secure a better tomorrow.
The difference is how they tried to secure it. Monty's solution was to perpetuate the cycle after Primus defeated the Apothecons. He knew that the multiverse would fracture the very moment humans started experimenting with 115, but if he kept the cycle going, he could guarantee his own safety and preserve his perfect world. Richtofen, on the other hand, was afraid of his own death and losing his friends. His only friends. That's why he constantly diverted from Monty's plans. He's always scheming to secure the blood files from Alcatraz as a safety net. Both Monty and Richtofen were ultimately motivated by the fear of death, and neither of them could make the choice that Nikolai made. Now, let's address the elephant in the room and get to the reason that why we are here and why it's important. Why did they have to die? Well, it goes back to Ultimus Richtofen and the Elemental Shard. What are the three pieces needed to craft the Agarthan device? When Richtofen created it, he bounded fragments of the souls of Dempsey, Nikolai, Takeo, and himself into the Shard, and by extension, he unknowingly bounded each other into the Aether itself because of it. From that point on, no one could exist without the other. The Aether isn't just a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. It acted like its own being. It couldn't function without the four. So when Nikolai destroyed the multiverse and killed his friends, everything that held the Aether together collapsed into the Dark Aether. However, with Sam and Eddie, they were different. Because they were uncorrupted, they are allowed to step away from the collapse. Their souls were given the chance to ascend into the new world, untouched by the undead, where they can grow up and be free from all of it. Now, I get it. There are still people who hate this ending even 6 years later. And I say that's fair, and I completely understand. But the finale was never about Monty, the Keepers, or the Shadow Man and his Apothecon pals. The writers chose to focus on something smaller, the internal struggle of the human crew. Whether or not it worked was still up for debate, but personally, I believe that this ending was consistent with its characterization and themes that was laid out in Black Ops 3 and 4. Dempsey chose to let go of his duty to fight for a purpose of his own. Takeo chose to let go of his blind loyalty to the Emperor. Nikolai chose to let go of the ones that he lost, and Richtofen chose to value his friends over his obsession with the mission. In the end, there was no grand villain, no grotesque monster, and no master plan left to stop. It was simply you against the endless horde of the undead. It's almost poetic. Noctur Untoten, Night of the Undead, was where it all began, setting the tone in darkness. And Tagter Toten, Day of the Dead, closes the book by shining light towards a new life. And that final shot is so simple and powerful. We control Samantha and Eddie as they walk towards the light, while in the background we hear the wishes of Primus and Ultimus, what they would done if they were continued living. The score swells. Every time I hear it, I can't help but smile and think back to what they said. Looking back, the message of Black Ops 3 and 4 becomes clear. The only true way to secure a better tomorrow is by letting go of the past and present. That's why bringing back the KO, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Richthofen, whether it's the new versions or rehashes of Primus and Ultimus, undermines the entire point that it's giving. And John Rizzo put it best. You, the player, have to be the one to let them go. Whoever at Treyarch came up with this idea was a genius. By placing that final moment in our hands that made us say goodbye to the characters and stories that we've grown to love for over a decade makes it so much more impactful. And honestly, I couldn't ask for a better ending.
My name is Edward Richthofen, and I have been trying so very hard to do the right thing. Long ago, I made a promise, a vow, to protect him. In order to keep my word, I have done bad things. Very bad things. I do not regret the pains that I have caused, because none of it really matters. This moment, this me. All of it will soon be gone. I have lied. I have cheated. I have deceived. All for a purpose you could never understand. I would not change a single thing. He thinks I do not know. But I do. The blood will protect me.
Zombies.
Now, looking back into this new world and its story, its introduction is jarring to say the least, as we are introduced to our first problem within the Dark Aether story: Warzone. Because of the success of Warzone during the pandemic, Activision wanted to be sure that everything is connected into a singular universe that new coming players will be invested in. This includes the rebooted Modern Warfare story, the Black Ops story, and whatever Sledgehammer was trying to do, and the new Dark Aether story. So, whenever a zombie outbreak happens, it's always contained, meaning it has no major impact to the main overall universe, so the stakes doesn't matter, and the possibility of the outbreak that reaches the entire globe is zero. Also, zombies are back! Yeah, some fuck-off Nazi science division just so happened to accidentally rip the tear into the Dark Aether by using a particle accelerator. So all that work for sacrificing themselves was for nothing. Great! Oh, well, thank God it was contained and Samantha and Eddie didn't get themselves involved, right? Well, then you'd be happy to hear that Samantha is one of the main characters. Well, ain't that swell? Another major problem that this game faces is how it delivers its story. You see, in stories, whether it's from movies, books, or TV, there's always a key role in writing that is called show, don't tell. It is a tool that is used to give exposition without the overuse of dialogue. Without this, it would feel like a boring college lecture. Miss one thing and you will fail to understand everything. Zombies always had this use of imagery, atmosphere, and its hidden radios documents that the players look for, even sometimes as something subtle, like a chalk drawing of an arrow that points to the direction of the power switch, instead of an obnoxious marker. Also a very important thing, characters. Characters with the big three attributes: dialogue, personality, and motives. They are what keep the story fresh. Without these three, you basically have a person with the attention span of a wooden plank.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Characters as big as Ultimus and Primus, as well as the smaller characters as Victus, or even the guest characters in Call of the Dead, Mob of the Dead, and Shadows of Evil, are all memorable characters because of how they interact with the world around them. And Cold War's first crew does not have any of these three. They are expendable soldiers that follow orders of their 4 commanding officers, who do have these 3 attributes: Elizabeth Gray, Mackenzie Carver, Oscar Strauss, and the familiar face in Black Ops, Gregory Weaver. The maps themselves don't give exposition. Instead, 2 characters that we don't play talk on comms, and they comment on everything in full detail.
Let's get to it then. This place is the cause of the outbreaks we're encountering. Better get inside and solve this case.
Don't normally be external window closed. Raptor 1 will circle back experience. Dimensional gateways to pick up where the Nazis left off. We should turn the power on.
This by itself creates a massive problem. The narrative is being told to you instead of being shown to you by looking through the character's perspective. For instance, Oscar Strauss was a scientist with the focus of helping people who used to work with the Germans in this very specific location. This would have been more impactful if we would play as him. Or, my personal favorite, Major Carver, who is severely underused as he is a strong-headed but well-calculated person that always struggled with paranoia during his time in Vietnam. He always wondered if he should have trusted Ravenov, or there was a hierarchy in play within the Dark Aether, or fearing that once this was all over, he was afraid of being locked up for knowing too much. In this game, as well as Black Ops 6, we don't get into full detail about him, and it sucks because out of the entire crew, I liked him the most, and it would have worked if everyone could shut the fuck up. And reusing old Black Ops characters seems so out of place. Bringing back Kravchenko will always be the weirdest decision because we already know what happens to him.
How did you end up as a smuggler for Menendez?
Oh, you see, we were supposed to survive that grenade that I had strapped to myself and that was supposed to kill us both. But the scientist in the research group reached out about me about an alternate dimension that could harness it. Later she betrayed me and had her killed. I had this guy who worked for me and he foolishly released a god that released zombies into our world. Then this woman with superpowers sacrificed herself to prevent the end of the world. Kravchenko, what the fuck you talking about?
No, I can vouch for him. Ghostface, Rambo, Donnie Darko, and Judge Dredd were all there too. You have to trust me, Mason. The only reason why people were invested into this story was because of the interest of 2 people. One was Samantha Maxis, who was basically thrown into the Dark Aether that regained her powers. Then, as the story went on, she sacrificed herself to stop Psychoff, which we will get to later. And the other person that people were interested in is the worst kept secret in Cold War, because everybody saw it coming. The director of Requiem, the man who pulled the strings behind both sides of the Cold War, was none other than Eddie Richtofen, that we won't see him within the next 4 years. Oh, well, isn't this just dandy? Well, what's the next game?
Fuck.
I mean, sure, it's an improvement with the art direction and the demons help build the lore that surround the Dark Aether, but there's a problem with that. The Apothecons were trapped within the Dark Aether 3 times. The first time, they were just strolling by out of curiosity. Then came the aftermath of the Great War, and now the collapse of the multiverse. You're telling me that no one, not a single Elder God, not even Cortifex, makes a single comment about the Apothecons that came before the collapse of the Aether? That doesn't get their attention, but the fucking mystery box and the Pack-a-Punch too? Huh? In fact, didn't the Keepers and Monty get banished there too? Where the fuck were they? Wait a minute, I just realized something that wasn't even a part of my script. As soon as Nikolai sent everything into the Dark Aether, It gained the attention of the Elder Gods that got them motivated enough to make them send objects of power into their world. Even Cortifex's power to raise the dead. What the fuck? And on top of that, we're still stuck with these expendable soldiers who give nothing of value. Instead, we're forced to listen to Gabriel Kraft on comms, who constantly whines if we don't get into another objective portal. Shino-numa? More like Shino fuck that. You really think that this is gonna hook everyone into getting their attention?
Reminds me of when I studied the writings of Alistair Rhodes, an amateur demonologist and personal hero of mine. Rhodes! About different objects of power that he called...
Oh shit. Okay, for those who do not know, Jason Blundell, the director of the Zombies mode at the time, had crafted his own story alongside of the Aether story in Black Ops 4. This was called Chaos, and he made it very clear that it had no relation to the original Aether story. They are two separate stories.
Are the two stories connected in any way? Is it a clean break?
They are not connected. They're not connected. They're not connected in any way. They are two separate stories completely.
So
no
really
one believes me, by the way. No one believes me. I've said this out now multiple times. I even said it to your camera. I've said it multiple times. They are not connected.
All right, will you please also tell people that there are no secret messages and codes in this video?
I could not say that.
Damn it! Jason, you killed it.
It revolved around magic, mythology, and gods. And I am a real sucker for shit like this. However, not everyone liked it, and so it left out a bit of a cliffhanger in Ancient Evil. So many questions set up. Who was Scarlet really? What happened to Diego, Shaw, and Bruno? What did Medusa want with the Library of Alexandria? Unfortunately, we would never get that answer, and it was most likely that we would never see these characters again. The Chaos story was Jason Blundell's little pet project that he liked to work on. Now, unfortunately, not everyone saw that, and nor was anybody interested in the Chaos story. And with Black Ops 4 being such a downfall with the many problems that it had, he left Treyarch. But is this just a little Easter egg? A reference? Surely it must be. But then, of course, we had to wait till Black Ops 6. Fuck. And while we're on the topic of Vanguard, let's talk about Cortifex. He is the most interesting and fun villain I have ever seen in Zombies. The performance done by him is phenomenal, and he always makes his presence known. Well, too bad that he is killed in the most anticlimactic way ever, so there's that. God, that's way worse than the fucking Shadow Man boss fight in Revelations. Okay, so let's see. Art direction and Cortifex. Those were the only two things that I liked about Vanguard. Alright, let's hop over to the next game that takes place 80 years later in the next title of Modern Warfare Zombies, which... So let me get this straight. An entire citywide outbreak occurs overnight and is overrun by the undead. The Rebel Fighter, one of our main characters who fights on that same city, along with 141, Laswell, and Alex, makes no mention of it in MW2 or MW3. Had anyone not made mention of this? Of course they fucking didn't. And they're gonna use these characters from the campaign to tell you to do contracts on comms? And you know who else is here? Soap is! Yeah! You know, the most popular Call of Duty character that got 86'd by Makarov in the same game? And this is the problem with making campaign stories be connected to zombies. The writers have been trapped in a corner where they can't do whatever they want, and we know the events of Modern Warfare 3. The outbreak does not matter. There are no stakes, and they're stuck in the confines of the grounded world, and yet most of our characters don't seem to die. Like Sakayev, who is the most dull villain that I have ever seen in all of Call of Duty. How the fuck had this guy gotten shot, fallen at least 12 stories down in a missile silo, having rocket exhaust fume getting shot down onto his body, and survive with just only a scar on his face? But hey, we have to know the rule. If there's no body, there's no kill. And apparently, the writers can only keep on doing this every so often where it can become so fucking annoying.
Alex, Philip Graves, Victor Sakayev, and now the goddamn Reckoning ending! Oh, but do you know who dies? Our entire Requiem crew! All interest I had, zipped, gone. This leads to my third problem, pacing. How is it that we started out in the 80s, that we jump into the 40s and jump into the future of 2021 and jump back into the 90s? And since chaos exists, might as well just throw that one at the very beginning. And this is something that I have said 2 years ago.
So I just realized something. So we went smack back in the middle of Cold War. But then for Vanguard, we had to go backwards, which is a prequel. We moved to the middle, we went to the beginning, but now we went to the far front now, right? Where we don't even know what the events are, which gets us really fucking confused. For fucking timeline-wise, this shit doesn't make any fucking sense. I couldn't agree more past me with the shitty microphone quality. The original storyline had the advantage of able to keep track of each installment chronologically, one right after another, regardless of when the main campaign was set, either the past, present, or future. This was just downright sloppy, and it's clear that the writers didn't plan this far ahead in the future to know where the story would be going for each game. And at the end, it's just another tease for the next game, but this time, it's a fully fledged dev team that had 4 years of development.
Field report. Final entry. Well, this is it. The end game. I know what I have to do. Richtofen's barely holding it together. I've got to believe he can go the extra mile. None of us really know how this is going to play out. But we all know it's the only way forward. We can only hope that our souls may find a better future.
And now we are here, Black Ops 6, where the only interest that I had was Richthofen. What was his grand scheme? What sinister plot was he cooking up? All this setup was revealed to what I could never thought would have been possible. The Chaos story is now connected to the Dark Aether story. The possibilities are endless. They are finally removed from the confines of being grounded where they can go all out. At the end of Terminus, it was a setup for a teaser for the next map about Kraft, which I was willing to toss aside any problems I had with him during Vanguard. As for Liberty Falls, it was a setup for Dr. Panos that was working with this mysterious shadow benefactor. What unsettled scores did he settle? Oh, how dare you! You guys had me hooked, line, and fucking sinker! You know I love this shit! Little did I realize at the time, that was a big problem with this game. Treyarch releases the map that our characters get a MacGuffin and get an info dump and a tease for the next map. Citadel de Mort is considered one of my favorites in this game because of how the tone reminds me so much of Army of Darkness. The backstory is great that surrounds the Owl and his 4 bastard sons, and the Golem fight is all spectacular. Oh, and the music. The ending, however, was revealed that Gabriel Kraft was Edward Richthofen's father. Holy shit! On paper, this was a wild twist. But here's the problem. The radios spoiled the ending. So, if you listen to the radios before beating the egg, the twist is left unimpactful. But how does this news affect our characters in the later maps? Nothing. Not a thing. Not even his own son mentioned his father and how much he cared. Fuck you, Eddie. Instead, he's more focused on the Sentinel artifact so he could use it to bring back his dead family after a failed CIA hit carried out by Weaver. That's a mouthful, right? But how do we know this? Intel. That's right. If you didn't know this, that means it's your fault for not grabbing the hundreds of pieces of intel that were scattered throughout the maps. And because you didn't know, you get an exposition dump from Richtofen where he just has this fucking thing. And let's go over the Sentinel artifacts. They were a set of 4 relics created by the cult known as the Nine. They crafted these to harness and protect the power called Prima Materia. When activated with a key, the artifacts begin a trial that will test the worthiness of the individual through battling the undead and other mythical creatures that correspond to the artifact. Completing these trials rewards those by gaining the knowledge that the Nine once wielded. Interesting, right? Well, guess what? None of this was mentioned in Black Ops 6. And it's not even accurate! Instead, it's just used as whatever the hell the writers want to do with it. Whether it's to bring Richtofen's dead family back, or make a body for the Sam AI, or somehow create the multiverse for some fucking reason. And now, there's hardly a connection between the Chaos and the Dark Aether stories. Chaos takes place nearly 100 years ago before Black Ops 6. So there is nothing. No Medusa. No Chaos Crew. Shit, I would have settled with a fucking Blightfather. But no. Side note, if we were to believe that this is the same Chaos instead of an alternate version of it, and that the Nine already secured the Odin artifact and has already completed its trial, then how the fuck does the Odin artifact end up in the Dark Aether? The timeline doesn't help correspond to what was happening in Black Ops 6 when Alistair sent this fucking British dude to retrieve it. And no, I'm not even gonna bother to learn his goddamn name because it's so fucking stupid. Even if he constantly says it in the fucking map over and over and over again. And there's no way that the Nine could possibly even go into the Dark Aether because they would most likely end up dead. Look what happened to them after Medusa! What the fuck is the Nine supposed to do? Wait till they have the technology to create the particle accelerator that conveniently tears a veil into the Dark Aether?
Give me a break.
And the whole plot point with this clanker trying to be the real Samantha Maxis is very fucking ironic, given the fact that Activision refuses to give voice actor protections from AI, which they fucking love and aren't even trying to hide it. So, actors and actresses like Julie Nathanson, who had been around since 2008, went on strike because of this. And the marketing for Black Ops 7's themes is the weaponization of fear of AI. You can't make this shit up. And when half of the cast just leaves in the middle of development, it shows badly. They're just standing around there and not saying anything. Even people like Peck, who didn't even say a damn line during the tomb. Where the fuck were you, you perpetuous little rat? And the cast itself isn't even the standard 4. It's bloated with Weaver, Carver, Gray, Maya, Strauss, Peck, the same AI, Ravenoff, Raptor 1, Richtofen, along with Blanchard and Panos. What the fuck is going on here? Characters like Ravenoff, Strauss, Peck, and Raptor 1 make no impact to the story. Instead, they're still talking to us in comms! And Samantha. Remember when I said back at the beginning, she is the most important character of all of zombies. The one who sacrificed herself to seal Sykov in? She fucking dies! Yes, worst part, it's off screen! So all this trouble going around the world to get the artifact was for nothing. And depending on the ending, Richtofen dies too! Just as anticlimactic as Cornifex. Hey Nikolai, all that hard work of giving Samantha and Eddie a better tomorrow really worked out fucking wonderfully. Here, have a drink. I'm sorry, but this just fucking sucks. Like, how is it that Samantha in her adulthood is weaker compared to her as a little girl? She was the most feared and most powerful being in the universe that even Monty was afraid of. And let's go over what went wrong with Eddie. He is the most inconsistent character I have ever seen. And that's just saying something because Kylo Ren held on to that spot for a long time. He was not only smart, but 3 steps ahead. He manipulated Requiem, Omega, as well as Sam, Peck, and Zykov, all to get what he wants. So, when Treyarch realized that they hit gold, when people got excited to see him, they did what any intellectual group of people would do and basically threw all of that out of the fucking window. Instead, they made him maliciously incompetent and fucking stupid. It's clear that a different group of writers wrote this character in Black Ops 6 compared to Cold War because it appears that they can't write smart characters properly. You don't need a chronorium to understand that. One is a certified genius, and the other is a complete dumbass. He creates a supercomputer AI based on Samantha's brainwaves to mimic her voice, personality, and powers. And it constantly manipulates Richtofen. You know, the guy who created that along with all the wonders made by Ethereum in the 90s. Yeah, for some fucking reason, he didn't think to build more than one failsafe just in case it had gotten rogue. The 90s. High-tech shit. And this is the part that fucking disgusts me. Before Richtofen had done any research on the Sentinel artifact, he was heavily using cloning to bring back his dead family. And since they weren't perfect and considered human, he told his staff to chop up his wife and child and harvest their organs while they are alive and awake. You expect me to feel sympathetic towards this asshole and side with him to bring back his wife and kid? He's not even a real doctor! You actually make me look kindly to the Ultimus version even more, given all the heinous shit he's done. Go fuck yourself. Oh no, I'm not done. Let's talk about Zykov, better known as the Forsaken. He was the person who was sent to shut down the particle accelerator. The very moment he got in there, he knew for sure that he was gonna die. But he knew that his death could help pave the way for world peace. But as he watched his world through all the time that he was trapped in there, he grew bitter because they ruined their chance at peace that he sacrificed his life for, that made things look worse than the war that he fought in. So he made it his goal to grow in strength for 400 years and planned to take over and oppose his own order to achieve peace. Out of everything that Cold War got wrong, Zykov's motivations were understandable and is one of the many things I liked. Despite how he was stuck there since World War II when Requiem and Omega planned to return him. They both knew that the Dark Aether was a hostile environment, they both knew that time works differently there, and they both knew that the Forsaken can change his appearance and manipulate others. And no one once thought that Zykov was perhaps lying. But what happens to him in Black Ops 6? He's just a way to get the Wonder Weapon. Yippee! But wait, if he was in that Sophia Sphere all this time, then how was he the announcer in this game and Modern Warfare Zombies? Oh no, it was just the AI Sam. Confused? Don't worry. You see, she learned to mimic his voice, which allowed her to summon drops for everyone. Yes, this is really stupid and makes the Modern Warfare Zombies announcer less sense because the same AI is either dead or has a human body that inhabits it. But it doesn't matter which ending you get because our crew got consumed by the Sentinel artifact or whatever the heck Kraft meant. And it has given us the biggest slap in the face that we all saw coming as that was leaked months ago. Guys, they fucking made this meme real. They're back with no explanation and no build-up. And when everyone saw this cutscene, the more sensible people saw what this was. Nostalgia bait. It's garbage. What was the point of Black Ops 4's ending if you're gonna keep pulling this shit out of your ass?
Time. Can be a cruel mistress. In its relentless march forward, it robs each of us of many things. Moments, experiences, people. Time can take them all from us in an instant. Such things are gone forever, unless they live on within our hearts, our minds,
our memories. For all its cruelty, time can also be a great teacher. Through the changes left behind in its wake, we can learn, we can grow, we can come to understand those truths that have eluded us in the past. Only then can we truly understand ourselves.
When Tagger Toten ended, the voice actors said their goodbyes, ensuring it was ending for them. It was heartwarming when they talked about their favorite moments with playing the characters that they played for the past 10 years. It was about letting go, the same theme as Black Ops 3 and 4 tried to do.
Looking back on how the story has progressed, as Nikolai would say, all good and bad things must come to an end. And we really did need to have some closure on it. As sad as I am as a fan, and you know, we love doing this work, it's sad to say goodbye to it.
The changes that we've all gone through, at least for myself personally and professionally, have been surprisingly profound for a video game.
The different personalities that I was able to explore as an actor, the lines, the just amazing lines that we've got to say over 10 years, it's just been fantastic. So it's been wunderbar, as the doctor would say.
Watching these characters grow and change and interact, I mean, yeah, of course you get, you know, a little emotional about, is this the end?
I'm grateful to have been on this journey with my friends, and in life they are my friends too. It's a family. We are this amazing dysfunctional family, and I'm just grateful to be part of it.
And then tragedy struck. Tom Kane, a respectable voice actor who played Takeo, who also voiced acted Magneto in Wolverine and the X-Men, Ultron in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and more notably, Yoda in the Clone Wars episodes. He had suffered a stroke in November that damaged his speech center, removing his ability to speak, having to force to retire from his career as a voice actor. No one had expected this. It further cemented the idea that just leave these characters alone, as one of them can't even come back to return to reprise his role. But then they do this? This is foul. What are they gonna do? Replace Takeo with an AI copy of his voice? That didn't stop Activision when Julie got replaced. Okay, post-edit here. So it turns out that Mila and the rest of the content creators were actually invited into the Treyarch studio where they can playtest, give feedback, and ask questions on what new features Treyarch has left to offer. One of the questions was asked about what plans that they have with Takeo and Tom Kane's legacy.
Can you share what the plan is going forward with Tom or not with Tom? And I wanted to ask this because we had seen in what they've shown us in the presentation, the new crew, and talked about like this new playable crew. That means Takeo's going to have voice lines, or he's never going to speak, right? One of the two. But their answer was like, to me, saying, can you talk about this? Was simply, not yet. That was that. Then another one of the devs cut in and said, just to add in, we're being very respectful of all that stuff. So we're looking at all of that and trying to be respectful, and also trying to find a voice that represents the character and brings what we're trying to bring new to it across all the characters, and all that helps us bring them to life. And that sounds to me like that's confirmation that Takeo will be recast.
Well, that's not surprising that a team of people gave us the most cookie-cutter corporate response for a subject for a man who lost his career.
This is a whole new universe to explore in Zombies, where the team's creativity can absolutely run wild.
Bullshit. If I hear or see a single thing that is remotely generated by AI, not only that you will contradict yourself, but you would prove not only to the Zombies community, but the whole Call of Duty community that you lied to their faces.
We're delivering a truly massive round-based map at launch, packed with new features, as well as the return of survival maps for the first time since Black Ops 2.
Don't ever fucking compare Black Ops 2 when you plan to release one round-based map and only one survival map, when Black Ops 2 launched with only 3 survival maps and Transit along with Nuketown Zombies that came out weeks after. But hey, I guess it's our fault to expect the developers to do the bare fucking minimum.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch. We had everything we needed. It all ran like clockwork. It was perfect. But no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego. You just had to be the man. If you'd done your job, known your place, we'd all be fine right now.
This is awful. So poorly made with zero lack of creative storytelling. Joshua Shaw and Shreemington, 2 YouTube channels about AI presidents who play Call of Duty Zombies, has better lore than the entirety of the original lore, Aether included. And as of me trying to record this footage, it is confirmed that you were able to play as 8 characters, which I all imagine would make their funny MCU quips and exposition, where they would set up things that they would have zero payoffs. At this point, the next game will be most likely be another tease of the next game following. If this is where we're going to get further down the line, then I'm not going to spend a single dollar to Activision. I'll try on the Microsoft Game Pass just to play the game for free, but I would rather spend my time just be playing Marvel Rivals, or if I want to, I could play the older maps that had all the great storytelling that it had to offer. And I'm saying this as a fan, I absolutely want this to do better, but the way that it's going right now is not the way. And that is all I have to say. And I wish this video would have come out sooner, but again, I have a life outside of YouTube along with the procrastination. But hey, if this video blows up, I'll see if I can continue this kind of retrospective content. Maybe the video about the War.war maps. Just maybe. But this is XWB. I'll see you in the next 2 years.